Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault 2, and I'm out here in the garage on a rainy night in Frisco, Texas, and I got a lot of stuff to talk about. In fact, so much, I even had to make a list. So this one might be a long one, so a lot of you guys might not make it to the end. But I got to talk about guns that I've shot. I shot a machine gun today. Want to talk about that. My channel updates. I have two awesome channel updates. I have a sad story that I want to talk about regarding the range. Then I want to talk about an ornament that I received today for the Texas Gun Vault Christmas tree and talk a little politics about California's gun-free zones. So we got a lot to cover. So let's dive right into what I want to talk about. Let's talk about the guns I reviewed today at the range first. I went to the range with my next door neighbor, Phil, and I took a gun that he has loaned to the channel. And this is a gun that when it was released, I was not a big fan of because I'm not a fan of this company and their politics, and I'm not a fan of their marketing. I think their marketing sucks. I don't like how they do things. I don't like the way that they name things, their naming conventions. And in general, when I shoot their guns, I'm not always that impressed. But this gun really impressed me, and this was the Springfield Armory Echelon. Now, when this gun came out, it came out to grand fanfare. The big gun tubers all came out on the day it was released. They obviously got free examples and tons of ammo and all this kind of stuff. And of course, all the reviews were positive. They're all positive. Oh my gosh, this is the greatest pistol of all time. It's a Glock killer. And since it came out, you really haven't heard much about it. You know, it's one of those things where it was supposed to, rock the boat, but it really didn't. So it's been a while, and I think it's time for me to review this gun because, I don't know, I think the emotions around it and everybody, whether you're a consumer or you're a content creator, have kind of died down. And so now I feel like I can do an unbiased review of this. And so at the range today, I shot the Echelon. And I will tell you, I was very impressed by it. Very, very impressed. This is the nicest shooting Springfield Armory product I have ever shot. The gun, I think, is a mix between a Glock, a SIG P320, and I think kind of the styling maybe of like an IWI Masada pistol. I think that's kind of what it is. If those three things were kind of blended together, that's what this would be. Very impressed with the trigger, tactile, audible reset, great staging. The gun was really accurate, it's well balanced. I really like the texture on this gun. It's not too sandpapery. Nice grip on it. I like the styling of the slide. I think this thing has something really nice going for it. I'm very impressed, and I shot it extremely well. So I think that this is going to get a great star rating on my little system. So I had a lot of fun with this. And if I ever bought a Springfield Armory product, there are two guns on that list. Number one would probably be the M1A, the civilian copy of the M14, and this pistol. Very impressed by it. Very impressed by it. Wow. The other gun I took to the range is on loan to the channel from Richard, and this is the Car CT380. Now, Richard kind of laughed at me when I was going to take this to the range because he said, well, you hated the CW45 so much that you're going to hate that thing. And I was like, okay, maybe, because I recently did a range report revisit on the 45 single stack version of the car. Hated it. It's a nightmare of a gun, in my opinion. Nightmare of a gun. Terrible trigger. It's not accurate. Not enough capacity. Too thin. And this is kind of the small 380 version of this. Popular gun. Has a terrible trigger. Big old long pull on it. Single stack 380. So you don't have many rounds, and the round is anemic. So not a lot of power in this thing. But it is a small, compact gun. And I will spoil it for you a little bit. I won't tell you everything. The gun's not bad. Not bad. It's nowhere near as bad as the CW45. I did learn how to shoot these cars based on that previous review. And I learned that when it comes to these double action triggers, you got to shoot them slow and methodically. And so I was prepared for that. But this gun is designed for concealed carry and to shoot it fast, if you're in a defensive situation. In that capacity, it sucks. I had feeding issues with multiple different types of ammo. And I discovered that if these magazines, which I think hold 7 rounds, are topped off, it will not feed the first round, and sometimes it won't pick up the second round. But once you get beyond that, you have decent feeding, with the exception of when you're trying to shoot it fast. And I did discover something, because when Richard lent the CW45, he said, hey, 1911 magazines also work in that gun, especially like the officer size. They'll fit flush. Well, I was curious, because he only gave me, or lended me, 1 magazine for this gun. So it's, I was like, well, you know how I do my range reports. Sometimes I like to do like the quick mag change. And I'm like, well, 7 rounds isn't enough. And I like to, shoot more rounds down range in one take if I can. So I was curious. I was like, because it looks about the same size, would a Colt Government 380 magazine that goes in the Colt Government 380, not the Pocket Light Mustang, because that's too short, would the longer 380 magazines work? So I went and dug one out, because I have a Colt Government 380, because it sure looks the same. And it looks like the feed ramps are kind of the same, where it picks up on the followers the same. I don't know. And like where it would push up on the slide stop looks about the same. So I was like, I wonder if it's going to fit. And of course, let me safety check the gun. We're good. Lo and behold, it fits in there. And it locks into place. It is a little bit longer than the factory magazine, but this magazine also only holds 7 rounds, and it works. There's only one problem with it. With the factory mag, slide locks open. With the Colt mag, slide does not lock open, but the rounds will feed. In fact, this magazine fed more reliably than the factory magazine. Doesn't hold open after the last round, but also you can't load this to 7 rounds. It won't pick up that first round. So I discovered that. So that's kind of interesting, and I will include that in the range report. When I shoot this thing fast, the accuracy sucks. I shoot it way low, just like the CW45. It's not that uncomfortable to shoot when I really take my time, pull that trigger back slow and methodically. I actually got a pretty decent group. So the gun is okay. I still wouldn't trust it. I had too many issues with it. I would not trust my life to this. But it worked to a certain degree. So those are the 2 guns that I reviewed today. Now let's talk about a machine gun I shot today. Now, I'll probably upload this as maybe a short on the main channel, I think, 'cause it's kind of fun. I got to shoot a B&T APC-9 full auto submachine gun. And not only was it an APC-9, it was the APC-9 SD. So it was the integrally suppressed one. Wow, that thing was fun. That thing was fun because I was at the range today, and there's an SOT that's around here, and he has a lot of machine guns, and of course he can build machine guns, because he's an SOT FFL, and he'll bring stuff to the range sometimes. If I'm there, he's nice and lets me shoot it. And he had a really cool, get this, HK21, so the 308 belt fed. Oh my God, that was cool. I'd never shot belt fed before. I got to shoot that. I was very impressed. That was not as much recoil as I was expecting. And I got to shoot that APC 9 SD full auto, and that thing was a dream to shoot. Now, when I shoot the APCs semi-auto, I feel like they have more recoil than an MP5. The MP5s have that Cadillac recoil. This gun in full auto felt better than an MP5. But it could be the suppressor. It was awesome. It was awesome. And I'll post that as like maybe a short on the main channel. Maybe I'll post it here. I'm not sure where I'll do it. I have the video on that. But I have to go edit that because when I record at the range on my phone, it has all these like low tones because of the ventilation system. And if people listen to it on YouTube, it doesn't compress the audio. So if you click on it, it's like, boo, it's annoying. So I have to go take that out of the audio. But that was so much fun. Oh, I also shot a B&T, the TP9 suppressed and with a stock. And I reviewed recently the pistol, and that gun was okay. I didn't like it. I was like, it's not interesting to me. This changed the game. I'm telling you, the suppressor and that stock changed the game. I still don't like the fact it feeds through the pistol grip, the magazine, but way better. And it was flat dark earth. What a beautiful gun. What an awesome, beautiful gun. So I was impressed with that. So I shot that. That was an SBR. The APC 9 SD was a machine gun, and the HK21 I guess was a machine gun as well, but I only shot it semi-auto. And after they all left, they left a bunch of ammo on the floor. They were so sloppy with their ammo, so I was able to pick up a few rounds of 308 and 9mm. I just put it in my spare ammo bag, so I brought home that. That's like free money right there. So those are the guns I shot, and I shot a machine gun today, and a B&T, and that was awesome. Okay, let's talk about a couple of channel updates now. First channel update, I finally surpassed 12,000 subscribers. So thank you so much on the main channel. Obviously not here at the Texas Gun Vault 2, but on the main channel, 12,000 subscribers. We're growing by leaps and bounds. It hasn't even been a year since I started the channel, so I couldn't be happier. And you guys know the channel is way more organized now than it ever was. And I feel like the subscribers to my channel are better than they ever were. Not that they were bad on the original channel, but I had built up that subscriber base over the course of 10 years. And probably a lot of those subscribers were either no longer viewers or didn't have YouTube accounts or just whatever. And I feel like the interactions that I'm getting on my channel now are much more stable and solid. So thank you so much. And we're going to continue to work to grow. So I woke up this morning and saw we passed 12,000 subscribers. That's awesome. Issue number 2. Actually, it's not even an issue. I can't say exactly what's going on, but I think you can figure it out. Let's just say I talked to an attorney recently, a couple days ago, about the Texas Gun Vault brand and logo. So an attorney that deals with intellectual property. So I've started that, and just because I want to make sure that things are safe for the future. If you guys kind of understand what I'm saying, 'cause I don't want to have any issues in the future. I want to make sure that the Texas Gun Vault remains the Texas Gun Vault. But I've gone through the process on that and started that. So that's the big kind of channel update, which I think is important, because as I build the brand, and hopefully I'll have this brand for a long time and continue to build this, I have to make sure that my intellectual property is stable and solid. So I submitted a lot of documentation about the channel and information about it and so forth, and so we've started that process. So let's talk about something sad for a second. Here I'm looking at my list of what I need to talk about. This is I guess it's kind of a range story, but also it's a sad story, in that I was at the range a couple days ago when I was filming the CW45 and the CZ Shadow 2. And I was talking to somebody that's there often, and he came up to me and said, Jason, I guess he had his chronograph out, and where we shoot at the VIP lanes at the Frisco Gun Club, normally we're allowed to go out into the lanes. If no one else is, if it's just you can go set up cameras or chronographs or whatever. You come back to the line, and and he's a big time reloader, so he uses that chronograph information to help him with his hand loads, because he does competition stuff, and so he's always tweaking his hand loads and trying to make sure they're meeting his needs. And I guess he told me, he goes, did you hear about them changing the rules around here? I said, no, what's going on? He goes, yeah, we're not allowed to use chronographs anymore, I guess, during the daytime, because we have 24-hour biometric access. So you can go there at 3 o'clock in the morning. I was like, you can do that, but they don't want them using a chronograph anymore. And he says it's for liability reasons. I said, well, I understand that if there's other people there, but he goes, oh, did you hear about the event? I was like, what event? Because the way the Frisco Gun Club is set up, if you go in there and you're just a regular member, or you kind of come in off the street and you want to go shoot, there's a desk you would check into, and then if you go shoot, there's about 25 lanes, 30 lanes, The first 15 lanes are like in one big bay, and then there's a wall and a door, and you can go through the next thing is like 10 more lanes. And then there's another wall and door beyond that, which there's like 5 lanes. And those I call semi-private because they only use those bays for their competition shooting. Now, I don't think I've ever shot there. I think that's actually where Echelon Noir has shot some of his older videos. But they usually set it up for competition shooting. So like, IDPA and all the different things. So sometimes when I'm there filming my content, they'll be in that bay and they'll have all their targets set up, and or they'll be doing training classes or CHL classes or whatever. And they usually use those bays for that. And then beyond that, the last 5 bays, which are secluded by themselves at the very end of the building, are the VIP lanes. And we can get in using like biometric access from the outside, or we can go inside and go through all that stuff. And so I rarely ever go into the other side of the range unless I'm going to go to the 100-yard indoor rifle range. And so I was talking to him. I mentioned this gentleman that was using the chronograph. He was talking about this incident. I said, well, what happened? Well, the story is, I guess, a few days ago, maybe it was a week ago or so, somebody came in kind of off the street, and it was the middle of the day when nobody was there, or very low at traffic. And I guess they weren't members of the club, which you can still, go in and shoot. You don't have to be a member. You just have to pay the, a higher fee. I guess this gentleman rented a gun and bought some ammunition, and he went into the public lanes, and nobody was there. And I guess I have to use a term that the social media places will allow us to use. He self-deleted himself. Well, I guess that's redundant, but he deleted himself, if you guys understand what I'm saying. So it's a very sad story. And I was kind of surprised because I kind of thought that the range would have an RSO there, especially if it's somebody that they don't know. Like, they see me, and there's a bunch of people that are members of this club that have been members for years. We all know each other. We all see each other. And so for me to go in there is not, ever going to raise a red flag. They're like, oh my God, he comes in here like 2 times a week, and he has, he comes in here and films. They know, and they know me. They know sometimes I'll come out to the main area and ask for more targets, or there's been a couple times I had to go ask for a RSO because other people in the lanes and the bays where I was shooting I thought were being unsafe. But that's the only interactions I really have over at the main desk, or if I'm checking into the rifle range. But I was kind of surprised that they allowed somebody that was not a member of the club, was not a card-holding member, had not paid the annual dues, rent a gun and went in unsupervised. Now, maybe there was no red flags, but I kind of thought that they should have had an RSO. Not that the RSO could have done anything. If someone's just in there shooting, decides to do that, I mean, it only takes, a second? But that may have prevented it from happening. And it's really sad because I guess the story is when the emergency personnel got there, the gentleman was still alive. I guess still had a pulse, and but he passed away before they were able to get him out of the building and get him to a hospital. And the investigation said that his wife had either told him she was going to divorce him that day, or had filed for divorce and served him papers, something of that nature. So a really, really sad story. So somebody deleted themselves at my range. Not at the range, the bays where I shoot. It's like at the complete other side of the building, but they're all like in a line, but they're like divided by multiple, sections. So it was like at bay 1, I think. It was like the very first one. And so sad. And the reason it bothers me is, of course, well, first off, I hope that if any of you ever have those types of thoughts, you seek help, because you have to know that people in this world do care about you. They really do. And I know people say that, oh, you can call me any time of the day and that kind of stuff. There are people in your life that do care about your well-being, and suicide is a pretty I hate to say it. I mean, I know that people go through dark times, but it's a selfish act in that, like this guy, he had to do that, which meant somebody else had to find his body, clean up his body, and other people had to deal with that. That's pretty bad. And of course, then it came to his family that has to deal and mourn for his loss. Man, I've gone through dark times and dark days. I'm sure all of you have as well. Days that I don't want to relive. I don't want to think about. But not once have I ever thought about that. And I hope that you never do either. And I know that dark times can come about. I know that. And I hope that you guys know that there are people that care about you and your well-being and do love you, even if you think that they don't. And I hope that if you ever have those types of thoughts, that you do get help. There's the hotline that you can call if you have nobody, but make sure you talk to people. And but anyway, it kind of hit home because not only was it at my range, but if you don't know, one of the reasons that I'm into firearms is because of a guy that I was literally best friends with in college. My undergrad, for 4 years, there was a gentleman named, I hate to even think about it. I really do. His name was Jeff. He was a dear friend. Jeff was an amazing musician, and he was like a brother to me. We were very different people, but he was like a brother. I mean, we spent a lot of time together. He was a good friend, real good friend. Anyway, he is the guy that really introduced me to guns, because he had been into guns a little bit, but when he was in college, he bought a couple of guns, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to go to the range?" Well, I'm kind of scared of guns. I really was at the time. I was like, I don't know about this. He goes, come on. There's, introductory classes, and, we'll start you off on like a little 22 and kind of work your way up. I was like, are you sure? It's okay. So I got into guns, and the whole fascination with firearms and firearms technology was because of him, because he introduced me to shooting. And that's why I say one of the best ways that we can promote the Second Amendment is through introducing others to the Second Amendment and taking them shooting, because it's how I got into it. And he introduced me to it, and he planted that seed that has obviously grown into what it is. But Jeff, a couple years after we graduated college, actually he left college. He wanted to go pursue a career and a job and money without finishing, and which is fine because he was making a lot of money. But I guess things were not going good. He wasn't telling people, and he deleted himself, not with a firearm, not with a firearm. He did it with a rope. And one of the regrets of my life, and I will always remember this day, because it was about 2005. It was June of 2005, and I was living in Denton, Texas at the time, working on my doctorate degree. And I was in my apartment on one day. It was probably about Thursday, and he called me. And that night I was doing something. I was either like in a rehearsal, or I was doing something. I was having to work on some project. I remember this. And I said, I'm going to give him a call back, because he would call occasionally and I would call him back. And for whatever reason, I didn't call him back. And then 2 days later, his wife called me, crying, and told me that he had deleted himself over in the middle of the night with a rope, and nobody saw it coming. So, as I said, he was like a brother to me, and so when I heard about this happening at the range, it kind of hit home a little bit, just a little bit. It's like, man, just if you're in trouble and you're thinking about these kind of things, please seek help. Please seek help. There's people that love you, and the world needs you, and we need you as a gun community, because we all need to stick together and to help each other. So please do that. All right, so that was a little bit of sadness. So let's talk about some happiness. I went to my P.O. box today, which I guess it's kind of a channel update. I re-upped my P.O. box again for the third year in a row, and it has gone up twice in price since I first got it. My first year of getting this little tiny P.O. box, like the smallest one you can, was like $68. Then it was like $122. This year it was like $188 for this small little tiny box. Man, that sucks. And I had to renew it today. But anyway, I went up to the post office and I got another package, which I know is an ornament. And this one is coming from Ross. Ross H. I won't say his last name. But he sent me an ornament. He said that he was going to send me an ornament for the Texas Gun Vault Christmas tree. And once again, I apologize for not doing that this year. People have asked me. I have 2 ornaments in, and I'll probably do that on maybe Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. So this year it's going to be a very subdued thing. So I'll go get the Christmas tree and I'll get all the ornaments out and show you guys the ornaments from the years past. And next year, as the channel gets bigger, I'll do it again and do it right. But this year, as I said, because of having to rebuild the channel, I wasn't sure how many people would be interested in it, but apparently people are, and I will do a better job next year. So year 3 will kind of be like a down year, but I want to thank Ross, and I have another ornament, which I showed a couple days ago, so I will add this to the list. So if I only get 2, great, I'm happy, but who knows? I kind of put the call out a couple days ago, so who knows? Maybe I'll get another one, and of course, I will thank you. And there's a note in there and talk about the ornament. So that's what we have there. And then finally, let's talk a little politics. Let's talk a little politics. Did you guys hear that in California, a judge, actually I think it's a judge from Florida, said that the gun-free zones, the sensitive places provision of the California response bill to the Bruin decision was ruled unconstitutional, in that these anti-gunners just threw a hissy fit and banned the carrying of guns, even if you have a concealed carry license, everywhere. Like everything was a sensitive place. And a judge just would not have any of it. And I think that is incredible because, it's funny that the people that are the anti-gunners, they always talk about having a conversation and coming up with common sense gun laws and being reasonable. And they always like to say that they're the adults in the room. But yet, when it came to the response to the Bruin decision, what did they do? They threw a hissy fit. And they're like, okay, fine, we'll allow people to have carry license, but we're going to make everything a gun-free zone. It was ridiculous. And I think this is a huge win for us. And who knows, maybe if I ever create that little doomsday clock that I need to have out here and kind of put on the table when I have these Texas Gun Vault 2 videos, or I can move the minute hand to midnight, which is doomsday for the Second Amendment. I've been pretty down on the Second Amendment the past year. Like it's been like 1 or 2 minutes to midnight. But I gotta say, we've had a couple of wins lately, and this is a huge win because judges are saying you can't make the whole state a sensitive place. You can't do it. It's not common sense. It's not reasonable. And you guys, excuse me, that's my dinner coming back. Had a little burp there. You guys are just having a hissy fit because you didn't like the Bruin case. He said you can still have sensitive places like schools and courthouses and public government buildings and so forth. Like those are reasonable polling places. That's reasonable and so forth. But you can't make everything like. I know some states are like, well, we're going to make gun-free zones 1,000 feet from like every school. But like when you map out where the schools are between elementary and middle and high school and private schools and vocational schools and whatever, like the entire city is a gun-free zone. You can't do that. You can't bar people that have a concealed carry license from carrying on public transit. That's the public space. That's the whole point of having that, is to be in public. And they try to do that. And I think that's fantastic. So this ruling really surprised me. And I'm very happy. So I would take that little minute hand and put it back to about 4 or 5 minutes before midnight. Maybe things are actually turning around, and we'll have to see. The next year could be something huge. The Supreme Court's taking up this bump stock case and some other cases dealing with executive actions and administrative actions. So we might get some more wins. Oh, there is one more thing, and I realized I did not write it down on this. But another awesome fan and subscriber, his name is Arnie. He contacted me, and he is very well connected in the firearms world. And he contacted me today saying that the ATF, or his contacts in the ATF NFA branches, said they have stopped processing amnesty registration forms. I'm surprised they still had them out there. I thought most of them were done. But all those pistol brace amnesty stuff, they've stopped with the processing of them. And they have stopped enforcement of the pistol brace rule because of the injunction. So they're not defying it. So all of his sources are saying they've stopped everything. So everything is just on hold. So if you have an approval, you're fine. If you're waiting for them on an approval for one of these, you're going to be waiting until whatever is lifted or whatever, or it's ruled unconstitutional, and they are not enforcing it in any capacity, whether that be going to gun stores or if they see somebody, they're not doing any of it. So I thought I would share that as well. So I got that information on pretty good authority. So, but remember, I'm not an attorney, but that's what the information that I'm getting from somebody that has a lot of information from the inside. So there you go, man. We talked about a lot tonight. We talked about awesome guns, a Springfield Armory that the Texas Gun Vault might actually like, a Car 380 that was, it was okay. It wasn't the nightmare I thought it was. A Christmas ornament. We talked about shooting machine guns. We talked about making sure that if you guys ever feel down and feel like you have no way out, to please contact somebody because people love you and care about you. We talked about some politics in California, and we talked about some NFA amnesty brace registration stuff. So there you go, man. This was a full Texas Gun Vault 2 video. So if you made it to the end of this video, what can the word of the day be? What can the word of the day be? Let's go with something out of the norm. Let's see here. I'm looking around here. Oh, I know what the word of the day is, because I spent a lot of time at the range today filming, and they're charging over here. I have to recharge all the batteries for my, not my phone, my camera. So battery is the word of the day. Well, of course, I drop it before I put it back in the charger. I'll get that in a second. Battery is the word of the day, because I used 2 batteries and ran out of juice on them because I filmed so much today. So, yeah. All right, so that's it. Hopefully, I did not waste 32 minutes of your time and your day. I thank you guys for joining me. What do you guys think about these guns? What do you think about the topics in tonight's Garage Gun Talk? I love making these videos and coming to you guys as like a friend at the water cooler at work that just talks about guns. And I hope you guys are enjoying the content on the main channel. And we passed 12,000 subscribers. So, woohoo, we're rebuilding the Texas Gun Vault. All right, so that's it. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.